Two miraculous births. Our story begins about 2,000 years ago in the small town of Nazareth in Galilee. There lived a young woman named Mary, who was promised in marriage to a man named Joseph, who was a carpenter. One day, while Mary was in her house, the angel Gabriel appeared to her. Gabriel had a special message from God. Don't be afraid, Mary. God has chosen you to be the mother of His Son. You will give birth to God's Son, and His name will be Jesus. Jesus will rule over God's people, and His kingdom will never end. Mary was very surprised that God had chosen her to be the mother of Jesus, God's Son. The angel Gabriel said, "Remember your cousin Elizabeth? Though she is old and has never had any children, she is now 6 months pregnant. This might seem impossible, but there is nothing that God cannot do." Then the angel departed. Soon after, Mary went to visit Elizabeth. "Hello, cousin Elizabeth. I am so happy to see you again," said Mary. "Come inside. I have a true and wonderful story to tell you," Elizabeth replied. "My husband, Zachariah, was chosen to serve in the temple. While Zachariah was praying in the temple, suddenly an angel appeared to him. The angel said, 'Do not be afraid, Zachariah. God has heard your prayers, and your wife Elizabeth will give you a son. You will name him John.' Zachariah found it hard to believe and said, 'How can this be possible? My wife and I are too old.' The angel replied, 'Believe God's promise. Because you have doubted what I have told you, you will not be able to talk until the baby is born." Elizabeth explained, "Ever since Zechariah returned home, he has been unable to talk. Instead, he writes messages on a clay tablet." Mary told her cousin, "I am so happy you will have a child. I have come to bring you wonderful news too." After Mary told her cousin about the baby God had promised to her, they both gave thanks to God and sang praises to Him. Mary stayed 3 months with her cousin and then returned to her home. Soon the time came for Elizabeth to have her baby, and she gave birth to a son. How proud Zachariah must be to have a son who will be named after him. But Zachariah surprised them and wrote that the baby would be named John, not Zachariah. At that moment, Zachariah was able to speak again, and he started praising God. The child, John, grew and developed in body and spirit. When older, John lived in the desert until the day when he appeared publicly to speak to the people of Israel. He became known as John the Baptist.